Okay, good morning, children. Good morning. So, did you read the portions that we had discussed in the last class? Yes or no? Okay, which are the different types of blocks? Joel?
S block, P block,
Hmm.
D block, and F block.
Yeah, S, P, D, and F block. Right? Then, what are the properties of this S block elements, Emmeline?
Colorless ionic bonding,
Hmm.
metal character,
Yeah.
electricity, low melting and boiling point, and low ionization value.
Yeah, low ionization energy also. Very good. Then which are the groups that comes under this S block elements, Gaia?
13 to 18 elements from 13
S,
to 18.
S, S.
1 and 2.
Yeah, group 1 and 2. What about the name of this group 1 and group 2? Anashwara? Anashwara? Yeah, what's the name of group 1 and group 2 elements? Yes? Anashwara? Alina, can you tell me? Yeah, alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. Okay. Elaine, what about P block elements? Which are the groups that comes under P block elements?
13 to 18.
Yeah, group 13 to 18. What about the name of group 16? G's? Group 16?
Chalcogens.
Chalcogens. Okay. John, what about group 17? John Philip?
Halogens.
Yeah, halogens. Then what about group 18, Naurin? Group 18?
Noble gases.
Okay, noble gases. And what about the properties of D block elements? Pooja, D block elements.
They form covalent bond. Then they are generally non-metals.
Okay.
And electrical elements.
D block elements, non-metals?
P block elements, right?
D. There are certain special properties for D block elements, right?
Catalytic properties, paramagnetism.
Yeah. Variable oxidation state, colored compounds, right? Yes. So these are the properties of D block elements. Then which are the groups that comes under F block elements, Lakshmi? F block.
Inner transition metals.
Yeah, inner transition metals. So which are the two groups in inner transition metals?
Lactanoids and acetinoids.
Lanthanoids and actinoids. Okay. Lanthanoids and actinoids. Fine. All of you switch on your videos. Yes. Then today we are going to classify these elements to metals, non-metals and metalloids. Okay. Classification of elements into metals, non-metals and metalloids. So we can start from metals. Just 1 minute, children. Metals, non-metals and metalloids. Okay. So we are starting from metals. Can you tell me, in this periodic table, where do these metals are located? Metals. I already mentioned it in the last class.
Left side.
Yeah, left side of the periodic table, it consists of metals. So you can write there. They are located at the left side of periodic table. Then what about the physical state of metals? Is it solid, liquid, or gas? Metals. Yeah, they are in solid state. Okay. Solid at room temperature. Okay. Solid at room temperature. And there is one exception here in the case of metal, which is that exception that not exist in solid state.
Mercury.
Yes, mercury. So mercury is the only metal that exists in liquid state. So you can write there, mercury is the only metal that exists in liquid state. Okay, then what about the melting point and boiling point? Is it high or low? Melting point and boiling point. What about group 1 and group 2 metals? Leave that. What about the melting point and boiling point of metals? Just think about that. If it is easy to melt or difficult to melt. Metals.
High.
High, right? Yes. So you can write high melting point and high boiling point. High melting point and high boiling point. Here also there are two exceptions. Okay. Two exceptions for this high melting point and high boiling point. They are gallium and cesium. Okay. Gallium and cesium. This gallium and cesium, these also examples for metals, but they do not have high melting or high boiling point. They have low melting and low boiling point. Generally, metals have high melting point and high boiling point, but in the case of this gallium and cesium, these two are the exceptions. They have low melting and low boiling point. Just 1 minute. Gallium. Its symbol is Ga. Okay. Then cesium. It is Cs. Okay. Cesium. They have low boiling and melting point. Sorry, it is CAE. Okay. Then what about the other properties of metals? What about the conductivity, children? Conductivity.
They are good conductors of heat and electricity.
Very good. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. So these elements also good conductors of heat and electricity. Okay, good conductors of heat and electricity. And what about the other properties that you have learned about metals in your previous classes? Which one?
Ductile.
Yeah, they are ductile. Then, what do you mean by ductile or ductility? The ability to drawn to thin wires, right? Yes. Then, what about the next point? Only ductile?
Malleable.
Yeah, very good. They are malleable. They are malleable. What do you mean by malleable or malleability? Yes, they can be changed into thin sheets by continuous hitting. Okay, using hammer. So ductile, then malleable. Then any more point? Yeah, very good. Sonorous. They can able to produce a ringing sound. That's why they are known as sonorous. And they are lustrous. Metallic luster is there, right? In the case of pure form of this metals, they have metallic luster. Then they are hard. These all are the properties of metals. So the elements belonging to this category of metals, they will show these all properties. Ductile, malleable, sonorous, metallic luster, hard, etc. This is clear? So what all things we had discussed now? These metals, they are located at the left side of the periodic table. That's the easy way to find out the metals. Left side of the periodic table, mainly group 1 and group 2 metals. Okay, group 1 and group 2, they belongs to the category of metals. Not only group 1 and group 2, some elements from the transition group, that is transition elements, right? They are also known as transition metals because they also belongs to the category of metals. And some also from the P block. Okay, they also belongs to the category of metals. So they are located mainly at the left side of the periodic table. From left to right, this metallic property decreases. That's why. Okay, from left to right, this metallic property decreases. And they are solid in room temperature. They are generally solid at room temperature. Mercury is the only metal that exists in liquid state at room temperature. Okay, mercury, it is the only metal that exists in liquid state at room temperature. Then they have high melting point and high boiling point. There are two exceptions there, gallium and cesium. They have low melting and low boiling point. Then these metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are ductile, malleable, sonorous. They have metallic luster. They are hard. This is clear, children? About metals? Yes or no? Yes, right? Okay, then Mary Angelina, can you tell me any two properties of metals?
Ma'am, they are good conductors of heat and electricity,
Yeah.
and they having high melting point and boiling points.
Yes. Then John, can you tell me the remaining? John Joes.
They are found in the left side of the periodic table.
Okay.
They are ductile, malleable, sonorous.
Yeah.
They have metallic luster.
Very good. So these all are the properties of metal. Then which is the only metal that exists in liquid state at room temperature? Alan Joshi?
Mercury.
Yeah, mercury. What about the symbol of mercury, Tom?
Hg.
Yeah, okay, Hg. Then which are the two metals that exist that have low melting and low boiling point, Niranjan?
Gallium and cesium.
Yeah, gallium and cesium. So is this clear for you, children? Shall I move to non-metals?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Okay, then next you can write the heading non-metals. Okay. Non-metals. Then what about the location of this non-metals?
Right.
Yeah, which side?
Right. Right.
Yes, they are located at the right side of the periodic table. Okay. Then they are generally solids or gases. Okay. They are generally solids or gases. Then they have low melting and boiling point. They have low melting and boiling point. Here also two exceptions. That's in the case of boron and carbon. Okay. Boron and carbon, they have high melting and high boiling point. They have high melting and high boiling point. Carbon, symbol is C, and boron, just B, have high melting and boiling point. Then what about the conductivity, children? Is it good conductor or poor conductor? Non-metals. Yeah, they are poor conductor of heat and electricity. So you can write there, they are poor conductor of heat and electricity. Then what about the malleability? If they are malleable or brittle? Yes. Tell me, they are malleable or brittle? They are brittle in nature. Okay. not malleable or ductile. They do not have metallic luster. They have dull in appearance, right? Instead of hard, they are brittle in nature. That means easy to break. So these are the properties of known metals. Okay, they are located in the left side of the periodic table. They are generally solids and gases. They have low melting and boiling point. There are certain liquids also, but the most of the non-metals, they are exist in solid and gaseous state. Okay. Then they are carbon and boron. They are the exceptions. They have high melting and high boiling point. Then they are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are brittle, not malleable, not ductile, and they are dull in appearance. This is clear? This is clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You have completed, right? Okay, then unless, what about the properties of non-metals?
They are located at the table and generally gases and liquids.
Solids and gases, right?
Solid.
Okay. Then Jyoti, can you tell me any two property of non-metal?
They are brittle and they are not ductile or malleable.
Yeah. Then Gaia, can you tell me the remaining?
Dull appearance and low melting and boiling point.
What about conductivity?
Poor conductors.
Yeah, poor conductor of heat and electricity. This is clear, children, about non-metals? Yes, right? Then there is one more classification, that's about metalloids. Okay, metalloids. Metalloids. They are also known as semi-metals. They are also known as semi-metals. So the properties of this metalloids, that's in between metals and non-metals. They will show both the properties of metals and non-metals. Shows the properties of metals and non-metals. Okay, then there are certain examples for this metalloids. Silicon, Si, then germanium, Ge, then yeah, antimony, tellurium, etc. Here the symbol is Sp. Here it is Te, tellurium. Okay, silicon, germanium, antimony, tellurium. These all are examples of metalloids. So this is the third category, metalloids. They are also known as semi-metals. They shows properties of both metals and non-metals. Example, silicon, germanium, antimony, tellurium, etc. This is clear, children?
Yes.
Okay. Then in the periodic table, there is one separation of this metals and non-metals with this metalloids. Okay. It can be represented in a zigzag way. So you can write there. Change from metals to non-metals, because the left side consists of metals and the right side consists of non-metals, right? So the change from metals to non-metals is just shown by thick zigzag line. Okay, I will show one image of this. Just wait. Okay, children, just wait. Okay, children, I will show it in the next class, okay? With the periodic table that separates the metals, non-metals, and metalloids, okay? So is this clear for you? The properties about metals, non-metals, and metalloids? By just looking at the periodic table in your textbook, can you tell me some examples for metals? Yes, it's in the textbook. You can able to see that zigzag line. It's in page number 83. Page number 83. There is one orange line in the P block elements, right? That is known as the zigzag line that can able to separate metals from non-metals. In the P block elements, there is one orange zigzag line, right? Silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, etc. So these are metalloids. They can able to separate metals from non-metals. All other aluminium, gallium, indium, these all are metals, and those shown in blue color, that is metals, and green color, they are non-metals. So these metalloids, they exist in a zigzag line. They can able to separate metals from non-metals. This is clear now? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So these that shown in orange color, they are examples of metalloids. They can able to separate metals from non-metals with a zigzag line. They are shown in one zigzag model, right? Okay. So that's about the distinction between metals and non-metals using this metalloids. So you can add one more point there. Metallic character decreases from left to right, the periodic table. Then the non-metallic character increases. From left to right in a periodic table. Then the metallic character increases as we go down a group. So from left to right, this metallic character decreases, and from top to bottom, this metallic character increases. This is clear, children? So this is one among the periodic trend in their properties. Okay. Then the next section that we are going to learn about the periodic trends in physical properties. That includes this property also, metallic and non-metallic character, that you already learned. Okay, metallic character increases from decreases from left to right. Then the non-metallic character increases from left to right. Then about the group from top to bottom, this metallic character increases. This is clear? Yes, right? Then we have learned how to find out this period using electronic configuration, right? Period number. Can you tell me how to find out the period number using electronic configuration? All of you switch on your videos. Yes. Then anyone, please. Yeah, Aditya. Yes, tell me.
Balance, large configuration, that is
not clear for me. Once again. Yeah, that's right.
And the last configuration.
Yes, that means highest principal quantum number, right? Period number that is equal to highest principal quantum number. That means the last main shell number, that is the period number. Then there is some method to find out the group number from electronic configuration. Okay, group number from electronic configuration, but it will be different for different block elements. Clear? There is one method to find out the group number from electronic configuration, but it will be different for different blocks. So we can learn how to find out the group number from electronic configuration in the case of each blocks. So the group number and electronic configuration. Group number and electronic configuration. First we can discuss about S block. S block. Then I'm going to write the electronic configuration of this S block elements. N stands for last shell. Okay, N stands for last shell or the last principal quantum number or the highest principal quantum number. Then N S X. X means the total number of electrons in this S subshell. Clear? N stands for the principal quantum number, the highest principal quantum number. That means the last shell. And S stands for the subshell S or S block. Then X stands for the number of electrons in S subshell. So here in the case of S block elements, the group number that is equal to the number of electrons in S subshell. Clear? The number of electrons in S subshell, that's the group number of S block elements. Then next we are going to learn about P block elements. Okay, the case of P block elements, we will write the configuration N. It is the highest principal quantum number. Then P is the subshell or orbital. Then here also it is X, right? Here we have to write X plus 12. Okay, X plus 12. This is the way to find out the number of electrons in P subshell or P block.
Ma'am, can you explain?
Yeah, Dulya?
Can you explain again?
Yes, sure. In the case of P block elements, we can write the electronic configuration. This is the last electronic configuration. N means highest principal quantum number, that's the last shell. Then P block, the number of electrons is represented as X. So to find out the group number of P block elements, we have to add 12 with the number of electrons in P subshell. This is clear now? That is X plus 12. The next one in the case of D block elements. Okay, D block elements. Here we can write the representation NS. Okay, NSX. Then N minus 1 D Y. Okay, we will write the configuration like this, right? After 4S, then 3D. This N is represented as, in the case of this one, N is 4 and N minus 1, that is 3. So we can write it as general NSX. X means the number of electrons in S subshell. Then Y is the number of electrons in D subshell. Then the method to find out the group number, that is X plus Y. X plus Y. Okay. In the case of S block elements, the number of electrons in S subshell. Then in the case of P block elements, the number of electrons in P subshell plus 12. Then in the case of D block elements, it is X plus Y. That's the number of electrons in S subshell and D subshell. This is clear now? Any doubt? Anyone? Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay. So we can do certain examples in the next class. Okay. Using this equation, we can find out the group number of certain elements from each block, S, P, and D.
Ma'am, what about F block?
F block, we did not generally use this F block. That's why we skipped that part. Okay. It's a little complicated one. So you have to learn these tricks not only for this year, but also it will be useful for your each studies, your entrance examination, all other examinations. These tricks are useful, both about the period number and group number from the electronic configuration. So you have to always note these points. Have you completed, Adulya?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then you can write it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, children, then we can do examples and the remaining portion in the next class. All of you switch on your videos. Let me take your attendance. Okay, then thank you, children. See you in the next class. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.